Welcome back to the JCPod, partner with Stare Down Sports. Stare Down greatness. And man, not going to lie to you, still so much more free agency news to go over. So that's pretty much what today's going to be. It's just straight up free agency talk. We're going to finish basically everything pretty much everything I didn't cover on Tuesday. And then after that, we'll probably have, like I said, Rowan's probably going to be coming on, I want to say Monday or Tuesday. So I potentially might have a Monday-Tuesday episode next week, or might have a Tuesday-Wednesday episode next week. That's what I'm thinking, because next week's going to be football March Madness. But like I said, without any further ado, we're going to hop right in, because there is seriously still so much free agency news to talk about. Way too damn much. So where we left off last week, we talked a little bit about the Colts stand-it, and then some of the Bears moves. So we're going to pick off with Josh Palmer going to the Bills on a 3-year, $36 million deal. Not a bad move at all, especially because they just paid Josh Allen a shit ton of money. So I was like, hey, let's try to get some weapons around him. Just help out Josh. And Josh Palmer's definitely not a bad option at all. Man, I can't believe he's only 25 years old. I definitely thought he was a lot older than that. But he's drafted in 2021? Feels like he was drafted a lot longer ago. Wow. But no, shout out to Josh Palmer, 3 years, $36 million deal. Not a bad deal at all. And I think he's going to be a good signing for the Bills. The Cardinals are signing Josh Sweat. This is one of the few moves they've made so far, which is really surprising. I'm surprised they haven't made more moves. Feels like they should. There's a few more that they really should do. Oh, but wow, before we get into that, this is some huge news. David Andrews is getting released by the Patriots. He was there for 8 years with the team. This is just being announced right now. He's recovering from shoulder surgery. If he decides to retire, the expectation is the team would host a ceremony to honor him this widespread contribution over the last decade. So basically, it kind of really sounds like David Andrews might be retiring if they release him, because I feel like with how good he's been for them, you don't just release a guy like that unless they have somebody who they think is better and younger, or like I said, he potentially might be retiring. But back to Josh Sweat, 4 years, $76 million, not a bad deal at all. $41 million in guaranteed money as well. He had a really good Super Bowl, and then also along with that, he had a pretty good season as well. So shout out to him for being able to bank in on it. And for the Cardinals, this is somebody who they really needed, because, I mean, Cardinals got a lot of positions they got to improve. And then also, too, it just comes down to, do you believe in Kyler Murray? And I don't know if I fully do or not. So they really should be investing in the defense. We talked about Grady Jarrett joining the Bears last episode. Still can't believe that the Falcons released him. I don't get that. I do not get why the Falcons released it, but I think we talked about Commanders trading for Laremy Tunsil. I don't think we talked about the compensation. So Houston gets a third and a 7th round pick this year, and a 2nd round and 4th round pick in 2026, while the Commanders get a 4th rounder in 2025 and also get Laremy Tunsil. He's been a pretty good offensive lineman. He's by far Houston's best offensive lineman. The only issue was last year he led just 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, and 19 pressures, which wasn't too bad at all. But he had 19 penalties, which was the most among offensive tackles. And that was just his biggest thing. The penalties were a big issue. And then, the fact that the offensive line was as bad as it was around him, it kind of just made him... it made him stand out for being good, to be fair. But at the same time, it's also just like, man, kind of just left him lying out there. Because, Houston has a horrible offensive line. So it seems like Houston has to be getting younger, I would think, at the position. But, the only reason I could see them potentially trading him is because of the penalty issues. But besides that, it's like, unless there's something I'm missing, which there could be, because like I said, I do watch the AFC South, but I'm not going to act like I watch every Houston Texans game. I try to, but I'm not watching every single play of every single game and able to, pinpoint, oh, yeah, that's why they're getting rid of this tackle. But I'm assuming they have somebody younger then, because like I said, he was a really, really good player. So just to get rid of him, it's kind of like, all right, so there's something going on. But also something that I heard, it was from a former offensive lineman in the NFL, is the fact that it's his 3rd team and he's this young. It's kind of like makes you wonder. But he's still a really, really good tackle. If he can figure out the penalty things, then he's going to be really good. The Raiders are signing Jeremy Chin from the Commanders on a 2-year deal worth $16 million. Kenny Pickett is going to the Browns, and it sounds like he might be their starting quarterback. So unless they draft somebody, it sounds a lot more sounding like it's either going to be Cam Ward or Bill Carter at number 1, with a lot of people thinking that's going to be Cam Ward. So if that's the case, do the Commanders go quarterback, and do they take be Shedeur Sanders, or do they go like the Travis Hunter or Bill Carter route? Which Bill Carter and Myles Garrett paired together would be a pretty good combo. I'm not going to lie. I just don't know. I don't know really what the Browns' direction is, because they have so many holes to fix, and there's, like I said, we talked about it this Tuesday. that Deshaun Watson cap hell is going to be a big issue to overcome. So I would assume Kenny Pickett's probably going to end up starting unless they're able to bring in somebody else that can at least compete with him. But money-wise, with how much they have into the QB position, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. That Brown situation is just absolute mess. Shout out to the Steelers and Ravens. I'm sure they're very happy with what's really going around in the AFC North, especially with the Bengals basically having no defense as of right now, and the Browns just completely falling apart. The Rams released Cooper Kupp. I believe they already did. They did the league year, which was this yesterday. I think they released him. So it's going to be interesting to see where he signs because, like I said, Rams find Devontae Adams. Now Puka Nacua changed his number to 12. So who's going to pick up Cooper Kupp? You assume he's going to go to a team that has a chance to win. And it would be like, you think like teams like Chiefs, Bills. I mean, I don't think he'd go to the Eagles, but maybe. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to stay the NFC. I don't know if he's going to go to the AFC. I don't think I've seen any, I don't think anything's been released out there where it's like, oh, he's leaning going here. It's just most people, I think, assuming are like, yeah, he's going to go to a winner. So look for some of those top teams. And with some of the other news that's come out, you can kind of start pinpointing, like, all right, it's probably going to be these select few teams. Like, I don't know if he's going to go to the Ravens. Ravens will sign a guy, but, I mean, he could. I'm just trying to think of teams that might Cooper Kupp be a decent fit. I mean, 49ers would be a pretty good fit, but I don't know if he's going to go there. Dallas, I know they need wide receivers. They would for sure could use them, but I don't know if that's a winning team. Like, there's so many situations like that where it's like, I can see him going there, but would it actually fit him? So we'll just have to see. The Dolphins are signing Zach Wilson. I'm assuming it's 1 year, $6 million. It's up to $10 million with incentives, and yeah, I'm assuming he's just going to be a backup. He's only 25 years old. Holy hell. That kid's been through a whirlwind damn career already. Panthers are signing Deshaun Wharton to a 3-year, $45 million deal. Shout out to him. 10 starts last year. Suited played in 17 games for the Chiefs, setting career highs in sacks and tackles for loss while playing 61% of the defensive snaps. So shout out to him, pretty much earning that back from what it sounds like. Darius Slayton's going to stay with the Giants on a 3-year, $36 million deals. And with Russell Wilson sounding like he's potentially looking at this team or the Browns, which I guess is I just remember now. Yeah, Russell Wilson to the Browns. That could be a guy who might. That's somebody who could probably start over Kenny Pickett, probably would. But Darius Slayton staying with the Giants. Shout out to him. I mean, he's I think been there his whole career now at this point, which kind of sucks. I'm kind of shocked he did leave, honestly, with how bad the passing game is. But I guess they promised him something, or he's just like, hey. This is, you know what they say, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Maybe he just likes the situation, feels comfortable with him and Malik Neighbors, and he's like, hey, I'm going to get good targets. I'm going to get paid decent money. Maybe we'll finally get a quarterback. But as of right now, Tommy DeVito's the only quarterback on the Giants, so they have the 3rd overall pick. I would assume that's another team that might be looking to draft a quarterback, especially if Cam Ward goes 1, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter goes 2. Wouldn't be shocked if they take Shador 3, but also, it depends who they sign in free agency. If they sign a quarterback in free agency, that changes absolutely everything when it comes to the draft. Cowboys agreed to a 1-year deal with $3 million with 1 year, $3 million deal with Javonte Williams. He was with the Broncos obviously before, but now he's back. The Cowboys aren't bringing back Rico Dowdle, which is kind of exciting. Not kind of surprising. Excuse me. I thought with how well he played last year, they'd want to bring him back. I just don't. I'll admit, I don't know what fully the Cowboys are doing. Jerry Jones has come out and said a lot of contradictory stuff, and then they got rid of Rico Dowdle, I thought was pretty good for them last year, so I don't understand why. I don't know if Javonte Williams is going to be that much better. This is all pointing to signs of, they might be drafting a running back, which, if that's the case, makes a little bit more sense. But so you think you want to keep Rico, who was successful last year, and didn't play horrible for you unless they just couldn't agree to money. I don't know. Javonte Williams isn't horrible. He just had a man year last year, but at the same time, I mean, the Broncos ran like a 15-back system, it felt like, last year. So I don't think really any of those running backs had too much success. Dre Greenlaw and Talo Hufanga are leaving the 49ers to go to the Broncos. 3-year contract worth $45 million for Taylor Hufanga and 3-year $35 million for Dre Greenlaw. Man, the 49ers are getting absolutely gutted. They've had a lot of players, leave their team now, and as they go to pay Brock Purdy, that's a team that looks like, man, they're starting to go into the new future as well. Feels like they're, I'm not going to say the Super Bowl window's closed, but now it's going to be a whole new, I guess a new generation, not new generation, but new era of Super Bowl team behind Brock Purdy going into his new contract because, yeah, I mean, those are two pretty big guys to lose. Injuries obviously killed the 49ers last year, but it's just crazy. Injuries killed them so bad, and now their team's pretty much just like in overhaul. I mean, they're literally just getting overhauled at every position, which is just crazy. Speaking of overhaul, 49ers are also releasing Kyle Juszczyk, which is another one of those moves. It's like every year you kind of wonder, like, are they going to do it now? Are they going to do it now? Are they still like using a fullback? And they have been, and he's been really successful for them. But then, yeah, like I said, they've released him now after 8 seasons. It was like, oh, shit. So they're really, really overhauling. Juszczyk signed a 5-year, $27 million extension with the Niners in 2021. He's scheduled to earn $4.1 million on his base salary in 2025. I don't know where he's going to go now. I would assume Chargers. That's probably a good team because I'm trying to think of. Not very many teams still use a fullback, so there's a lot of like heavy running teams that could really use him. Ravens re-signed Patrick Ricard. We'll talk about it in a minute, so that's a team that's not going to use him. But there is a lot of teams that could use a really good fullback, and it looks like Kyle Juszczyk, based off of last season, still has some juice left. The Saints are re-signing Chase Young to a 3-year, $51 million contract. Shout out to Chase Young, man. It looked like his career might be, I'm not going to say over, but it looked like he might not be getting a big contract again after being drafted number 2 and having some injury scares, but he's able to turn it around because he was drafted in 2020 by the Commanders. He didn't have the best of time with them, and then, like I said, was able to finally get traded to the 49ers. He joined them on the run to the Super Bowl, played pretty decent, and then, like I said, since he's joined the Saints, he's been playing good enough to get another contract. So, really awesome, because like I said, I thought this was going to be one of those guys where it's like, man, they just missed on him, and it sucked because he was like a freak athlete, but we will have to see. Hopefully he can stay healthy because, yeah, injuries are the biggest part. That's what's killed him in his young career so far. Chargers are signing Najee Harris to a 1-year deal worth up to $9.5 million, so now Steelers are in the market for a running back as well. Minnesota is re-signing Byron Murphy to a 3-year, $66 million deal. He earned his first career Pro Bowl last year, recorded 81 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, and 6 interceptions. Really, really good year for him. And, yeah, would make sense. Shout out to him for being able to get a big bag because he was one of the really good defenders last year. And Harrison Smith is returning as well for a 14th season. So, Minnesota, depending on what they're going to do at quarterback, there's rumors they kind of want to bring in Aaron Rodgers, at least to talk. There's J.J. McCarthy. That sounds like they're at least all in on him as of right now since there's no other quarterback situation. The Vikings are going to be an interesting watch this year because their team's pretty good. It's just if they can figure out this quarterback situation, they're going to be on their way. Because I'm not going to say Sam Darnold lost them the game, but he kind of did a little bit. The Giants agreed to a terms with Javon Holland, $45 million over 3 years. And he was one of the top free agents at safeties, and it sounds like he is going to the Giants instead of returning to the Dolphins, who obviously just didn't want to, I guess, pay him that much. And that's another team. It is interesting, though, to see some of the guys who are making all this money, and then we're going to have to see where some teams get, I don't know. I think Javon Holland moves good. It's just for the Giants, like, they're bad. They have so much holes to fix. Like, this is a good hole to fix, yes, but they're really going to have to nail the draft right if they want to turn the team around. But it is nice to see teams like that at least trying to fix stuff in free agency because, I mean, they could just sit on their butts and do absolutely nothing, but it's nice to see them actually going out and doing stuff. The Eagles are trading DJ Johnson Gardner-Johnson to who is it? Oh, the Texans. Okay, so the official trade, sorry, I was trying to read it so I can understand. So it's C.J. Gardner-Johnson and a 2026 sixth-round pick to the Houston Texans for offensive lineman Kenyon Green and a 2026 fifth-rounder. The Eagles are, not the Eagles, excuse me. The Texans were originally, I think, in the market for safety. Holland signed somewhere, and then there was another safety that signed somewhere else. So then this is basically what became their third option. So that's why they ended up trading for C.J. Gardner-Johnson because they were originally in, like I said, in market for safety. Ended up not getting a few of the guys they wanted, so they ended up just being like, well, we kind of want him too, so why not? We talked about Daniel Jones signing with the Colts. That's going to be interesting, man. I still don't know how I fully feel. The Panthers released the Sanders after 2 seasons. This is Miles Sanders, which makes sense. Chuba Hubbard ends up coming up. insane for them last season. Ended up proving that he's going to be a really, really good running back. So, especially now that he did good, Miles Sanders was kind of meh last year. And they signed Rico Dowdle a few days later. All makes sense. They kind of found the running backs they wanted. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Miles Sanders ends up signing with the team. Our Panthers also saved $5.5 million in salary cap space with $2.9 in dead cap by releasing Sanders. So, I don't know where he might end up, but I'm assuming there's going to be somebody that wants him. But also, I forgot the Panthers have Jonathan Brooks as well. But, man, that's so sad. I totally forgot about Jonathan Brooks, man. That story is so sad. He finally comes back and then re-tears his ACL. That kid looked like he might be something potentially special, but, man, yeah. We're going to end up seeing where Miles Sanders goes. I'm assuming somebody will sign him. I just feel bad for Jonathan Brooks, man. Second ACL tear in 13 months. I forgot about that last December. I don't know what's going to happen with him. I don't even know if there's going to be any news. It sucks, too, because he looked like he was going to be, potentially, real. He looked like he's going to be okay, there's some flash here. He might get it if he's healthy. The Saints are re-signing John Johnson to a 3-year, $30.7 million deal. He had career highs with 50 receptions, 548 receiving yards, and Derek Carr only played 10 games. He also caught 3 touchdowns as well. So, a really, really good year for him. I can't believe he's only 28. I was thinking he was much. I don't know why I thought he was just so much older than he was. I could have sworn he was at least 34, 35. So the fact that he's 28, shout out to him for getting a big deal. And like I said, the Saints are. This just sucks for the Saints because they're signing all these guys and they're making good, decent moves. It's just Derek Carr quarterback, and some other positions they need to fix and everything. Still kind of feels like they're in that middle of should we rebuild or should we just keep what we're doing and we're really close. They really just need to rebuild, honestly, at this point. And it feels like they're just kind of delaying it and trying to push it off for as long as they can. The Chris Godwin, I think, left around $20 million at the table when it comes to not leaving the Bucs, according to Ian Rappaport. And he came out and said, "The boys out of my family staying true to who I am," Godwin played. Or, I am staying true to who I am, Godwin explained. 9 out of 10 people probably wouldn't have made the decision I did, he added. But like I said, he left around $20 million on the table. But he liked the situation he was at. He obviously enjoyed being around Tampa. And people don't like moving. Pat McAfee made the joke in his show that people really don't like moving. That's a true thing. I mean, yes, you get the extra $20 million, but you uproot your family. You got to change whole situations, everything. So it's not too surprising. And honestly, now the Bucs keeping him around is going to be really, really good, especially since they're going to get basically into a new offense system potentially. So it's nice to have more veteran guys around who kind of have been there, done that. The 49ers released Leonard Floyd, and he's signing on a 1-year, $10 million deal with the Falcons. Tristan Reed is joining the Saints on a 3-year, $31.5 million deal. Another good move by the Saints, like I said, who look like they're trying to avoid the rebuild, which they might be able to, honestly. I don't know if there's a quarterback they're waiting for or something, but with how good the defense is, they potentially might be able to. It's just that offense is really going to have to step it up under Derek Carr. Apparently, the borderline toxic line room is what sparked the Texans' complete overhaul of the offensive line, which I won't lie, their offensive line was completely horrible as it was, but to hear now that it was toxic and fractured, that is not good. I'm trying to see if there's any. Yeah, so I don't think they really say much around it. According to Albert Breer, he said that the team made multiple trades. I don't know if they, so apparently it was borderline toxic, but they won't say, kind of good quotes or anything, but to be fair, with the offensive change last year wasn't good. They had a coordinator who liked having a fullback and doing certain stuff where they just took him out of his comfort zone and they kind of spread it out, and then they also, like I said, just had such a bad offensive line that, I'm not shocked. With how bad the offensive line played, I wouldn't be shocked if it was toxic or just fractured relationships in that room. So, that's one thing. The Texans are still signing all these free agency pieces and doing all that, but they really got to figure out the offensive line, or it's going to be, we saw it as Colts fans with Andrew Luck. You don't get an offensive line, you get your guy killed. Kind of just ruins his career, and all of a sudden he either doesn't want to play football anymore, or he starts seeing ghosts, and he starts looking at the rush, and then you just lose a great player he once had. Ravens are signing DeAndre Hopkins to a 1-year deal. I talked about it on Tuesday. I wonder where he's going to end up going. If the Chiefs sign him back or whatnot. It looks like he's going to be going to the Ravens. And now it seems like he's just going to be a one-year mercenary towards the end of his career because he's just starting to hop around now on all these contenders. And, yeah, I mean, he's not bad. Obviously, he's still a little bit older, but DeAndre Hopkins still can be good for a team. Apparently, there's going to be distributed 35 compensatory picks to 15 teams. And the 49ers, Cowboys, Baltimore Ravens all got 4 apiece. And these are all between round 3 and 7 that these compensatory picks are for. The Chargers are hosting Evan Ingram on a visit, which would make sense. When he's healthy, he's a really good tight end piece. But this year he's been injured a lot, so that's kind of I think that's partially the reason why the Jaguars probably released him is because of his injuries. And then there's people saying fumble issues. I don't know how true that is. I just don't remember because like I said, watch AFC South games. I'm not dialed into every Jaguars game like play by play, so I just can't remember off the top of my head if he had fumble issues or not. But for sure, the injury part is the reason I think why he got moved on from. The 49ers are signing DeMarcus Robinson to a 2-year, $9.5 million deal. He gets taken away from the Rams, and that opens up the room for the Rams to maybe draft another young guy and start bringing young guys in there. Yoseki said he's okay paying the Joe Burrow tax to stay at Bengal. I definitely knew that I was going to take the Joe Burrow tax. He said, I'm cool with it. It makes it easy to come back to play in a place like this. Which I'm assuming that I didn't realize he was leaving money on the table. I wonder how much he was leaving, if it was like $5 to $10 million or whatnot. I don't know if that's got released or not, but he still made a decent amount of money for a 3-year deal, especially a tight end for being, I'm not going to say, Gesicki's a good tight end, but I'm not going to say he's like top 10. He might be, but I mean, stats-wise maybe, but I don't know if he's top 10 for sure, but I don't know. The fact that he left money at the table, that's very interesting to hear because I thought it was a pretty decent deal. So I'm very curious to see how much money he ended up leaving. The Bills are signing Joey Bosa to a 1-year, $12.6 million deal. So it looks like he's not going to the 49ers after all. The Bills are the one who ended up making the deal. And I feel bad for the Bosa mama because now she has boys on each coast. So I hope you have to choose which game you want to go to. But I think it's a good signing. As long as he stays healthy, it's going to be pretty good for a young team who has good pass rushers. I mean, they have Greg Russo they just signed. They re-signed Terrell Bernard, the tight end. Sorry, not the tight end, the linebacker. The Bills are a team that defense is basically what needs bolstered. So getting a name like this, especially for kind of that cheap, is pretty good. Not gonna lie, it's not that for only $12 million. That's not bad at all. This Marquez Valdez-Scantling joined the Seahawks on a 1-year deal, so he's leaving the Saints to join the Seahawks. And Bales are trading Elam to the Cowboys, which kind of makes sense. It's a fresh start for Elam. He had 2 interceptions as a rookie, but hasn't lived up to the hype since Buffalo drafted him in 2022, according to this article. He was a healthy scratch on multiple occasions during the Bills' stint. 23-year-old leads Bills with 81 tackles, 6 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions. And he got picked on really bad in the playoffs. So that was the Bills are getting they traded Kaiir Elam and a 2025 6th-rounder to the Cowboys in exchange for a 2025 5th-rounder and a 26 7th-rounder. Like I said, he was getting picked on a lot, though. And, I mean, if you watch the Chiefs game, Tony Romo was just pointing like, here's Elam again. And the second he came into the game, just Romo was on his ass, basically like, yep, Elam's in the game, watch this. They're going to attack him. They're doing this. They're doing that. Here's Elam again. And it's just, yeah, I mean, he's young. He's still young, super athletic, but going to have to take some time to figure some stuff out because, yeah, he was really, really struggling a little bit, especially in the playoffs. The Vikings are signing Hargrave, another great defensive signing. I mean, these Vikings, man, once they figure out who's their quarterback's going to be, that is going to be a potentially scary team. Evan Ingram is going to end up signing with the Broncos over the Chargers. He visited with the Chargers, but ends up signing with the Broncos on a 2-year, $23 million deal. He visited the Broncos as well as the Chargers, I guess, and then he just chose the Broncos. I think interesting move. I guess those two teams are kind of similar. I don't know who I'd pick. I think I would go Chargers probably personally for me if it's a tight end just because of Harbaugh, but I think you might get a little more passing options in the Sean Payton offense just slightly, so I can also understand that. I don't think it's a bad move at all. Because Denver's needed a tight end for a while, so I think that's not a bad move for them to make. Malik Collins is going to the Cleveland Browns. He was another San Francisco 49ers, leaving the 49ers. Man, they're having so many boys leaving. Darius Slay signs a 1-year deal with Steelers. It sounds like this might potentially be the last year of his career. He said he at least wanted to play one more season. We'll see if he ends up playing maybe one more after this with the Lions or Eagles. But this, right at the Steelers, potentially could be Darius Slay's last season, so I'd keep an eye on that. The Seahawks are signing DeMarcus Lawrence to a 3-year, $42 million deal. So he's leaving the Cowboys now to go to Seattle along with Sam Darnold. So this is a team now that's starting to have a bit more few looks. I mean, these free agency moves are just very, very interesting. There's some decently big moves. I think this is not bad at all. Seahawks now is going to join Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy II, and Jaron Reed. They're going to have a decent defensive line, and that's something they really need to fix. Their defensive line was pretty bad last year for the Seahawks. Struggled a lot in the run, so that's going to be good for them to get that fixed up. C.J. Mosley is going to be released by the Jets after 5 seasons. I assume he's going to be picked up by somebody. He's been pretty solid for them, and he's been pretty good since he left the Ravens. 32 years old. He's going to be a good veteran presence. Yeah, he's probably going to end up signing somewhere. It's just going to be probably closer to a veteran deal. We talked about those two. Mike Williams is returning to the Chargers on a 1-year deal, which is kind of funny. Full circle moment a little bit. He left for the Jets and then the Pittsburgh Steelers last year. It didn't go too well, obviously. And then he ended up now coming back to the Chargers with Harbaugh, which probably will be a little bit better than with Brandon Staley. Russell Wilson, like I said, visiting with the Browns Giants this week. Going to be very interesting to see if he signs with one of those two, because if that happens, what are the Steelers going to do at quarterback? Because we still don't really have any answers at that. I mean, there's talks of Aaron Rodgers, there's talks of Russell Wilson. I think somebody mentioned Mason Rudolph. Like, their quarterback situation has a lot to be figured out, so that's going to be one of the many teams to watch on. Them and the Vikings right now, I think, are the two big teams quarterback-wise to watch on. Like, who are they going to get? And then another team to watch quarterback-wise is just Colts, but we already know who they have. It's just a matter of who's going to win that battle. But getting to a team-wise, who's it going to be? Who are the Browns going to get? That's another team that might be in. Who's it? Browns, Giants. Yes, they kind of need quarterbacks, but it's kind of like we don't expect too much from them next year, so we're kind of got to keep them aside. But the Steelers, that could be big. The Vikings, that could be massive. One quarterback move could potentially take them over the hump. 49ers signing a 2-year, $7 million deal with Mac Jones, which is hilarious. End up finally getting the guy they kind of wanted to draft all along, but they end up taking Trey Lance instead of him, if you remember in that draft. But yeah, now with how weird it's just gotten now, Mac Jones is another one of those weird careers where it's just like, man, you think the Patriots have their guy, he has a good season, and then all of a sudden, he's just another one of those guys who is just getting passed around. Vikings are considering Aaron Rodgers, it sounds like, apparently. But like I said, it's pretty much, I don't know who they're deciding between. I would think it comes down to J.J. McCarthy. If they think he can play, they'll probably play him. If not, I don't know. It sounds like, because I thought originally they would want J.J. McCarthy, but, man, if he's not healthy, I guess you really can't do that, huh? And then we just talked about David Andrews. He's getting released, so I'm wondering what's going to happen with him when it comes to his injury and everything. And that's probably going to do it. We'll talk some quick college news real quick. Bowling Green hires Eddie George as new head coach. Interesting there. I just wanted to bring that up because that was just something that popped up in the feed as I was talking. But yeah, I think that's going to do it so far. We'll check day 3 free agency real quick. See if anything has gone too crazy. I don't think so, though. I think we got most of the moves. So that's probably going to do it for the week. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for support. Really do appreciate it. We had super heavy the Tuesday, so that really helped out and make today a little bit lighter. But like I said, next week we'll be going over some more NFL news, kind of talk about maybe some teams are signing. Start doing some look aheads into the next season potentially as well, because after free agency it starts to be a little bit dead period until the NFL draft. So we'll start looking at maybe see if some futures are up, see some pre-NFL draft futures, see if we can find any good numbers that we might be able to take advantage of for next season, kind of stuff like that. And then, so that'll be one episode, and the other episode will be my boy Rowan's on here, and we're talking March Madness because, man, Selection Sunday, 3 days from today, which is crazy to think about. And then a week from today, the madness officially begins. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for support. I really do appreciate it. I will see everyone back in this feed either Monday or Tuesday. See you then.